So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Anne Marie Schubert. I'm the DA, the lucky job here. It's different this year. Everything's different. Just a little bit of background about the ceremony. I don't know if Katrina's talked too much about it, but we started this whole process of really recognizing folks 21 years ago, which is pretty extraordinary. And I think for those of us, and you don't see them all, there's a lot of people that work in the trenches, I say, here in this building. We realize what it takes for us to be able to do our jobs. We have to rely on people like you, victims, witnesses, police officers, to do their jobs, detectives, and because we can't do it without you. I mean, we are here to be the voice of others. And so it was started really 21 years ago because of one woman saw somebody trying to kidnap some kids, and she changed the trajectory and what happened to those children. And so we felt, I think, at the time, when Jan Scully was the DA, that we need to recognize people. So that's why we're here today. I'm going to apologize that it's not your normal setting. I said this morning, that we're in the business of trying to keep people safe, so we have to do it differently. But we also, it's important to do this. I mean, normally, you may know this, that it's in April. We usually do this in April. Every year across this country, we have National Crime Victims' Rights Week. And this year's theme is Seeking Justice, Ensure Victims, and Inspire Hope. And I don't know you, Stephanie, I know your story now, but it's clear to me that that's fit the model for what our theme is this year. And I just thank you for what you've done. So I think I want to remember that, Shelley, I want everybody to know that's on the live stream here that we will take a break after this so that we can do our jobs and clean everything up. So with that, just to let you know what the purpose is that we want to recognize people that have had compassion and empathy, whether you're a victim, whether you're a witness, whether you're somebody that helped somebody through the process. It matters because we wouldn't have gotten to where we were without your help. So with that, I'm going to introduce Katrina Rano to do our presentation. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. The story of this recipient starts with a child named Michaela. At a very young age, Michaela was physically abused and severely neglected by her biological mother and father. She was removed from her home for her own protection and was raised in a revolving door of foster homes. After years of never feeling that she truly belonged, her biological mother finally got her act together enough to come bring Michaela to live back home with her. What Michaela didn't know is that she would be entering a new family with a new stepfather who would be living with them. Michaela was thrilled, thinking that she would finally have a family who would love and care for her. It's probably not hard to imagine, though, that the mother who failed to protect Michaela when she was young was still unable to protect her and offer healthy boundaries for her as a young adult or a teenager. Not only did Michaela's mother not create and enforce healthy boundaries, instead she allowed her new husband, Michaela's stepfather, to sexually abuse her for years and years. Once again, Michaela had no concept of a safe, healthy home and no idea that she had the right to say no and have her voice respected. This was Michaela's life until she was 17 years old. And finally, at 17 years old, she'd had enough. She ran away from home. She had no place to go, no car, no money, no family to support her, and instead she had a 60-year-old stepfather who sexually abused her for years, was incredibly controlling, and kept attempting to coerce her into returning back home. Michaela was running from something, but she did not know what she was running to. Thankfully for Michaela, she met a young boy named Tanner, who she had a healthy and appropriate relationship with. And Tanner's mother, Stephanie, is the heroine of our story. The night Michaela ran away from home, Stephanie learned that Michaela was escaping an abusive relationship, an abusive stepfather. but Stephanie did not ask for, nor did she ever learn of the details about the sexual abuse. When Tanner asked his mother if Michaela could come stay with them until she figured out a safety plan, Stephanie unhesitatingly opened up her home to Michaela and gave her a safe, healthy environment in which to live, and Stephanie modeled for Michaela what a mother's instincts are to protect a child and give them safe and healthy boundaries. Stephanie never expected to be in the situation of having her son's girlfriend move into their home. But Stephanie agreed to do it despite having her own household to run. As many of you know, Stephanie had just had a baby. Stephanie had children to care for. Stephanie had her own family to care for. Yet despite all of that, she opened up her home to Michaela. Stephanie knew that Michaela was being abused. That was enough for Stephanie. She didn't need any more. She knew a child was being abused, and Stephanie had the tools to protect her, and she was going to do that. Stephanie did not care about the consequences that might follow for allowing another parent's child to find sanctuary in her home. And in fact, Stephanie dealt with numerous challenges associated with letting Michaela come into her home. Stephanie had to rearrange her entire family's living situation after just having a baby so that Michaela could have her own room, because it was important to Stephanie that Michaela have a safe place to live and healthy boundaries for her while she was in that home. Stephanie endured continual harassment from Michaela's abusive stepfather, and on more than one occasion, her stepfather sent the police to Stephanie's house based on false allegations. Thankfully, the Citrus Heights Police Department, who investigated the original sexual abuse, were the same officers who were dispatched to investigate these false allegations. They quickly realized that Michaela's stepfather's allegations were meritless. But that wasn't the end of the harassment that Stephanie would endure. Stephanie had to deal with Michaela's stepfather making threats to her son Tanner, and she had to deal with Michaela's stepfather driving to the house, parking down the street, and watching for Michaela to come out of the house. These behaviors went on for years, and despite all of that, Stephanie continued to support Michaela for years to come. Michaela's move to Stephanie's house was supposed to be temporary until Michaela could figure out where to go. Michaela was adamantly opposed to going back to foster care because she had already spent too many years of her youth in foster care. Stephanie, not wanting Michaela to go back to foster care, went through the grueling and difficult process with her and her family of becoming the legal guardians for Michaela. Once that difficult process was completed, Michaela finally had a place that she could call home, where she was safe and had healthy boundaries and a loving family. 3 years after Michaela moved in with Stephanie, this case went to trial. Who do you think was there for her at the trial? Not her mother, because her mother had chosen to support the defendant and continued to support the defendant during the jury trial. It was Stephanie who supported Michaela through the trial, along with Rafaela Perez, who was Michaela's victim advocate. It was Stephanie who volunteered to testify first, even though she'd never testified in court and she was nervous. She immediately volunteered to testify so that she could sit in the audience to support Michaela thereafter. It was Stephanie who used her personal time to take off work so that she could be at court every day with Michaela. It was Stephanie who left on breaks to go bring Michaela food so that Michaela could prepare for the next afternoon session of a grueling cross-examination. It was Stephanie who sat in the back and listened to the horrific details that Michaela had to describe. And it was Stephanie who shed tears for hearing what Michaela went through. And it was Stephanie who was there with Michaela at the emotional sentencing hearing, where Michaela's abuser, at long last, received much justice for the years of abuse he did. For so many of us, these acts of kindness that I just described are done by our mother or some other caring and loving parent. For Michaela, this person was Stephanie. Stephanie's actions would undoubtedly have gone unnoticed by everyone except for the few of us who were directly involved with the case. But for those of us who had an opportunity to contemplate what Stephanie unhesitatingly did for one child and the personal sacrifices that Stephanie had to make to ensure that Michaela's safety was possible, this ceremony provides an incredible opportunity to commend the everyday heroism that Stephanie engaged in, which allowed Michaela to have her life back. And while we all know that young love doesn't always last, the impact that Stephanie had on Michaela's life will last. And it's for that reason that Michaela is now here in the audience supporting Stephanie today. What I admired most about Stephanie was how she became a mother figure to a forlorn child and held this child's hand while she fled her abuser and underwent the process of becoming an autonomous adult who learned how to have own personal boundaries and who had a good example and good role model in what a mother should be like through you. This community needs more people like you, Stephanie. Anne Marie, I present to you Ms. Stephanie Pelkey for this year's Outstanding Citizens Award.
Goodness, thank you, Katrina. That was amazing. And yeah, I wanted to thank you and Rafaela for all the support and, going through those times with Michaela and helping her. And I know she really appreciates you guys for that too. So thank you guys so much. It's been a joy being part of Michaela's life. I've got to watch her grow into such a strong, supportive individual who is an independent woman now, and I'll get to watch that for years to come, and I wouldn't miss any of it. And that to me is, better than any award. That's a reward that I personally get to take with me throughout my life. And her and I have gone through a lot of trials and tribulations together, and I'm just so proud of her, and I'm proud to have her in my life. So thank you guys for this award. It means a lot to me.
You deserve it.
Take a little break for a little while, but